So speaking of questions,
Yeah.
we got some questions from the interwebs.
Yeah.
What do we got for the first one here? What do we got?
First question is, why do you wake up early in the morning? Actually, I kind of have the same question for you because I wake up late. Oh, I was in the nightclub industry for a long time, so my schedule has just shifted. I still, work out and work hard for the most part during the day, but my schedule has just shifted. But I think a lot of times I'm viewed as like, oh, this like late riser, like early risers just to begin with kind of seem like these disciplined, but if you just shift the schedule a little bit forward, you're up for, let's say you get 8 hours sleep. I know you get less than 8 hours sleep, but let's say a typical person, eight hours of sleep. If you get 8 hours sleep, but you wake up at 4:30 versus you get the same 8 hours of sleep, same waking, hour or same hours awake and doing work and working just as hard, but you wake up at, in my case, noon,
the crack of noon.
or whatever. What's the difference, really?
Well, there technically there is no difference, and actually, I've talked to people that they're on the night shift,
right?
So they get home at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
but I think we both know. I think we both know what the difference is, and I truly think that waking up early. Now, if that early means noon because you worked until 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, and it takes discipline to get out of bed, then I believe that then that's fine. But if you wake up whenever you want and you slept for 10 hours and you're lazy getting out of bed, I think that affects your whole life in a negative way. I really do. I think it's not good. And again, I know that some people are on those schedules, and I know that some people need more sleep. That's I understand that. There's some genetics involved. I have one of my daughters, genetically, I will go to bed at 11 o'clock at night. She's still awake. I wake up at 4 in the morning. She's awake. So there's some genetic weirdness going on there.
Yeah. What, as far as getting up early, let's say how you said, okay, it takes discipline to get out of bed. Wouldn't that kind of indicate that maybe you need some more sleep? Because let's think of like what they call the natural sleep cycle, right? You go to sleep, you sleep your however 7, I think ideal 7.5 or something like this, and you naturally wake up. You got your rest, but if you got to drag yourself out of bed, doesn't that kind of indicate you need more rest?
Possibly.
But
you could be right.
But you know how you always say like what do you say? Psychological victory.
Psychological victory.
Right. So isn't that kind of it's a mental exercise, right?
Yes.
So if that's part of your routine to fight adversity, you end up getting better at fighting adversity, whether it's that tiredness you feel or actual physical pain, or
and also you sleep, like if you decide to sleep more, it's because it feels good, right? So
right.
Then it's good for you. Mm-hmm. But what if you want more candy? If you want more candy because it tastes good, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. In fact, it's not good. Right. But I do think that there's times that I do definitely need more sleep, but I don't. And I also know that there's a fine line. I know when I get overtrained. I know when I get not enough sleep, and I feel it, and my workout starts going backward, and my jiu-jitsu starts going backwards, and my life starts going a little bit backwards. Mm-hmm. And then I know, okay, you need to take a day, you need to relax, sleep more. Maybe
like wake up at like 5.
Yeah, sleep until like 5:30. And you could always tell that when we were training fighters for the UFC. You could tell when they reached their limit, when they were overtraining, it was so obvious. They would just fall apart on the mat, just completely fall apart. And the other thing is, I'm like making a big deal out of waking up early. There's millions of people in the world that's what their job is. They're a single mom and they got to work 2 jobs, and they're getting up earlier than I am, and they're going to bed later than I am because they're supporting their family. Right. So I'm not sitting here saying this is the be all end all, But I will say that it definitely has an impact, and it definitely affects the other things in your life. If you have that discipline early in the morning, it will help you across the board.
Yeah. And I always read this stuff about creative people, and this is a complete generalization, but they say that creative people tend to stay up later. And, usually when you stay up later, you wake up later, whatever.
If you're mentally weak, yeah.
So couldn't it be seen as like when
my early waking is a total lack of creativity?
No, it seems like you're driven to get things done, get the job done, get it done well, no excuses.
Right.
And at the same time, develop your physical, mental toughness and, improve yourself in these ways that it's essentially like, I don't want to say the chores in life, but it's like you want to get up and maximize the day and get the most work done possible, right? So if let's say, okay, a typical day, let's say I wake up at 8 a.m., I do my work, I get home at 5, and I kind of goof off, watch some TV, and maybe even go out to a bar or something like that, where all the work is done. There's no work to be done really, as far as just kind of in a general way of saying it. There's no work to be done at the bar. There's no work to be done watching, TV or whatever. So a person that lacks discipline, it's pleasurable. The bar is pleasurable, generally speaking. TV's pleasurable. So they're going to be all focused on that. Like, I don't want to go to bed and face the work day the next day. I don't want to charge the work day. I want to immerse myself in the fun part of it, in the candy part of it. Then they wind up going to bed late, and then they wind up having to drag themselves out of bed, maybe sleep in a little bit more. So wouldn't kind of that discipline that you talk about, that applies to the whole day, not just waking up early, right? So it's like a whole system. So a lot of people, when like you that I've noticed, you focus really hard on getting stuff done. And if you maximize the time you have to get it done when you wake up early, then you can do that more effectively.
And at the same time, I don't want to give the impression that I'm living this like task-driven life where I have every minute of the day scheduled, because then that does inhibit your ability to do other things. Right. It inhibits your creativity, obviously. But I'll train jiu-jitsu, and I'm going to go there maybe I'll just go there for 45 minutes and get some rounds in. Maybe I'll be there for 3 hours. And I don't necessarily know that when I show up, because I have some flexibility in what I'm going to do in the day. Yeah. The waves are good. Maybe I'll go surfing, but you're right that you have to be disciplined. It's not, getting out of bed is like the foundation of the discipline. Yeah. And I think it carries over everything else, because when you get out of bed early and then you work out, when you get done working out, me personally, I don't want to eat junk when I get done working out. I'm like, I did a good workout. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling healthy. Instead of eating a bowl of Lucky Charms, I'm going to eat, some eggs and bacon and eat something good. So I agree with you on that.